Okay, here we go.
Oops, sorry.
Go
Start
ahead.
again. I'm so sorry. No, go.
No, I was just
We're
going to say, here we
cutting this out,
go.
obviously. Okay, go. Am I starting or are you starting?
You're starting.
I thought I was starting. Okay. Hi. I'd like to welcome you to our second Cadillac Chat with Chandler and Tressa. And today we are here with an interview and some really awesome information that is supporting our new project. So our exciting collaboration of nervous system navigation is about to launch, and we couldn't be more thrilled. And our first project with this collaboration is a menopause focus education course that really takes a deep dive into the nervous system and how that impacts all of the symptoms that we often find during this menopause transition in our lives. And so our first project for this collaboration is an online course this summer launching. It is called Shift Happens: Navigating Your Nervous System Through Menopause and Beyond. So Chandler and I have been having a really awesome time doing research and writing this curriculum. It's just fascinating. And through this research, we've been seeking out experts in our communities and really all around the world to give us insight and information that can help us support our clients in this process. So with that, today we are fortunate enough to be with Kim Seevers. And I am going to give it back to Chandler for her to give you a lot more information about Kim. Thanks for being here, Kim.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, Kim, thank you so much. Kim is co-founder and owner of Skin Bar Medical Studio here in Springfield, Missouri. They also have another location in Branson, Missouri. Kim is also able to work with clients virtually, digitally. If you are not in the immediate geographical area. Kim, you have a large background, 14 years of experience as a nurse practitioner. And we'd love to hear a little bit more about your journey and how your origin story, like how you began. And you obviously, like many of us, are discovering the huge need for functional medicine and support and just being heard, you know, as a woman. So we would just love to hear like a little bit about how all of this kind of came into your realm.
Yeah, sure. So I actually have only been a nurse practitioner for about 3.5 years, but I've been an RN for 14 plus. So back in the day, I struggled with stress headaches, not quite full-blown migraines, and I was told that Botox could help. So I went to a local spa in town, and they started treating me. Not only did I see the effects of my stress headaches going away, but then I fell in love with all of the other things that came in the medical aesthetic industry. So when I graduated nursing school, I came straight out and started working in this industry. And one thing that they did, which I was in my very late 20s, early 30s, was hormone replacement. And I can tell you, I was certified then. And then I've recently, 4 years ago, got recertified back in it. So I've been dabbling in hormone replacement now for 14 plus years, but I really appreciate it more now at the age of 50 than I did at 28 to 30.
And just to have that forward thinking is so crucial in this time of our lives. I mean, we're all, you know, relatively in this, 10-year span, and how important and how frustrating is it to know that people are not hormone informed? And as a patient, as your client, like being our own advocates to seek that out.
Well, we're not, when we go to NP school, med school, and I'm kind of speaking generalities here, but I myself, we're really not taught about hormone replacement. We're taught about things to look for if you have, certain diseases that carry, a high thyroid, low thyroid, et cetera. But hormone replacement, we're not taught. So, for many, many years, and still to some old school doctors and some new school practitioners, it's a stigma and you shouldn't be doing it. Well, I just figured that's more of a lack of education because they haven't dwelled deep into the studies, the systemic studies, the periodically studies that prove that this is actually good for us, not just women, but for men too.
Yeah, the risk rewards are so, it shouldn't even, I feel like, I don't know, it shouldn't even be a conversation. So with that being said, so you already kind of touched on it. You said you provide hormone replacement therapy. Is there anything else that you would like to add, to share, like what would be services to support that you provide during menopause?
Well, I think that it's important that, you hear the words regenerative medicine and then you hear the words functional medicine. So it's important to know the difference. The difference with, functional medicine is we're treating the underlying or the root cause, whereas regenerative, we're giving it like a peptide. We're helping it repair itself to get back to that homeostasis that we used to be. Hence, peptides with regenerative medicine. Two that I'll throw out there is BPC 157. I don't know if you ladies heard about it, but it is becoming huge. It's promotes healing, muscle recovery, and it's anti-aging. I just went to a peptide conference in Vegas, and every conference that you hear about peptides, the two biggest ones is BP 157, and I always get this wrong, GHK-Cu peptide, which has copper in it, and it promotes wound healing, hair growth, and it's also anti-aging. So that would be more on the regenerative side. Functional medicine is where we come in with our hormone replacement. It's more of treating the cause instead of the symptoms. And that's why so many of us and I love traditional medicine. I have a wonderful provider, but we are known and taught, and the pharmaceutical companies are out there saying, okay, let's prescribe this medication. When they get these symptoms, let's prescribe them this one on top. And then, so it's just, that's what they're taught. And a pharmaceutical rep spoke at that peptide conference, confirming that, yes, they are taught to sold one medication. And when they start getting signs and symptoms, let's go in there and sell them and put them on another one.
Yeah. Tressa, I'm going to turn it over to you in just a moment. I'm just curious, what is the two peptides that you just mentioned? How do you get them in your body?
So it's very important, that you have a reputable company. We have researched several. I mean, if you go on and just Google BPC 157, you're going to have 20 different companies coming out there. So number one, it's good to, if it's not us, you reach out to somebody that is getting it from a reputable place. There are supplements. I started off on the BPC 157 supplement. It's fine. But what I notice is it's an injectable, and you take it at night and it helps you sleep as well. So that's really, and they come out to be about the same price, about for a month, it's a little over $100, and it's a daily injection with the BPC 157, but it's real tiny amount. It's like 5 units. You use a tiny insulin syringe, but there are, like I said, an oral route out there too, to start with it if you're kind of, on the fence about it.
Yeah, just curious. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Tressa, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm so fascinated by this regenerative medicine, and the information that you gave was really great. And I'm just wondering, like, what you see, how does it relate to hormonal changes in menopause? So, like, if you have somebody who's just on hormone replacement therapy, how does their results look different if you're also giving them the peptides? And kind of like, what has been your experience in the gamut of services that you provide, and how it affects that menopausal hormone?
The biggest thing that we all have in our bodies, from food, from environmental, factors, is inflammation. And these peptides, and it's not just these two, there's 1,000 out there. There's Somorelin, there's, NAD. Everybody's heard of NAD, which I love that, Fountain of Youth. But it just really decreases that inflammation. And once we get that inflammation down, people are moving better. Or, they're able to change other lifestyles, sleep factors, eating habits, exercising, etc. So it all goes hand in hand. So when you're looking at, the regenerative, we want to make sure they're getting enough sleep. We want to make sure they're exercising, and they're not just pounding down a bunch of sugar. which feeds a lot of other issues like cancer. And then on the other side, with the functional, then we're kind of replacing, that testosterone for women and that estradiol if needed, just to name a few.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. I mean, there is a lot. I mean, I think
There's so many.
I think in our course curriculum in the modules, each one's going to have a vocabulary sheet because, they have to familiarize themselves with so many things. I happen to notice on your website, it mentioned that you provide some other services, which I think probably, obviously, are supportive to women during this phase, like some stem cells and things like that. Are you finding, like we are in the movement world, that there's a lot to do with joint pain, muscle pain? What are you seeing with the physicality? And tell us about that aspect of the services that you provide.
Well, basically what we try to do is, are you referencing like maybe PRP, platelet treatment? Yeah. So platelet derived factors is massive. So what we can use that for is hair growth. And, it's kind of natural because what we're doing is we're taking your blood, and we're spinning it, and then we're re-injecting it to where it can create all of those cells back. And so we use the PRP for knee injuries, shoulder injuries, hair loss, collagen production in the face. So there's so many things that we can do with PRP or, platelet-derived growth hormone as well, which we just added.
Wonderful. That's super important and such a growing field.
Yes.
What would you say is the biggest misconception about treating menopausal symptoms?
That you can't be helped. We 90% of women that walk in here is, my doctors told me it's normal, or to get off the testosterone. And it's just because they're not educated in it, because I'm telling you, if they were, they would be on it themselves. Our philosophy here is couples who pellet together stay together. I mean, testosterone is such a huge component in women and men. I mean, mostly in women, we're looking at, the top 4 is brain fog, memory issues, loss of libido, and energy. So once we get your levels back up, it's like you're living in your 30s and you have your life back. Not to talk about, the sexual intimacy and the growth that you get back there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is such a difficult thing to navigate when we really, want to live the life that we had before, and all of a sudden we are physically unable, and sorting all of that out can be really complicated.
And so that's something I always say to my clients, I'm sorry to interrupt you, is we're living longer. We are living a lot longer now, and we should not have to be miserable.
Absolutely. These should be the best years. And one of the things we keep hearing and finding in our research, and all the people that we talk to, and when they find out what we're doing, they want to tell us their story. And they're all just told that you're too old. You can't be helped, like you said. How old are you? Well, this is only for, if you're not having hot flashes, then you no longer can be helped. So I think it's so important for us to get this information out there, and we really appreciate all that you're doing in this realm. And Chandler, I think, has a couple more questions.
Yeah, Chandler, can I add something onto that? See, I told you I aged you. I just misconception is testosterone and estradiol causes cancer. No, ma'am. So there's a lot of studies out there now that says that it can be protective against it. So now if we have with that, the caveat is, if a woman comes in and says that they've had breast cancer, are we going to put them on estradiol? No, but it's not causing cancer.
Well, I know that it was that, and I'm going to look it up. It will be referenced in our course, the study that came out that it ruined a generation of women for 20 years, and we're all trying to come out of that, come back from that. But to your point, I just want to say that you made me feel very heard when I first started coming to you to, oh God, I'm getting a little emotional.
Bless your heart.
That's what happens. Anyway, I just, again, want to thank you for that. What is the most crucial component for supporting women during this transition?
Listening. It's 90% of women, they're just not heard, and they think it's a lost cause. And so they're walking around with fatigue, they're walking around with, brain fog, this can be deteriorating, to your daily life, and the loss of intimacy with our partner, or, just generalities.
Yeah. The one thing, if you only have a moment, if you could shout it from the rooftops, what is the most important thing you would like of your message that you would like to get out there?
Like I said, I dabbled in hormone replacement back in my 30s because I worked at a med spa that pushed it, and it did good, but I was still creating collagen at that point. I was still, my sex drive wasn't lower. I will not live without it. I feel like I may be 50, but I feel like I'm back in my 30s. My kids, this may be too much information. It's like, why are you two all over each other? They're like, what is wrong with you two? It's completely changed my life. And the stories that I hear from a lot of women has changed theirs too. And they're feeling so good that now their husbands are coming in to get on it just to, what they say, keep up. So it's like, we do not have to live miserable. And by the time you're in your 50s, 60s, we're retiring, those are supposed to be the best years of our life.
Yeah.
And so why not get yourself feeling that way?
Exactly. And we see, especially being in the movement industry, so much muscle wasting and muscle loss and sarcopenia. And for us, to see how challenging it is with our older clients, 70s and 80s, to try and build muscle at that stage. It is possible, but exponentially more challenging. So if through what you're doing and through what we're doing and just through education and talking about it, we can keep those women from losing that muscle to start with and maintaining it instead, then we'll be much more successful, and they'll have a lot better quality of life.
And Tressa, with that being said, with a little bit of this hormone replacement, it's just one thing that stands out is testosterone for women. It is osteopenia and osteoporosis protective. Now, we do, with our older population, we do have people on hormone replacement in their 70s and 80s. They are screened very well to make sure that they are able and it is safe to be on it. But it's never too late.
Agreed.
Yeah.
This has been so great.
Yes.
Kim, thank you so much for
having
time for us. Really appreciate it. And I know you've got to get to a patient here momentarily. So if there's anything else that anyone feels like they need to share, please feel free to do so. But again, I'm just so grateful to you and your time. Thank you again.
Well, thank you.
I was just going to say one thing that we have found in understanding that there isn't research around this, and you mentioned that you were exposed to it as a young woman, but it didn't hit home for you until you were in this stage. And I think that the people who are driving this research are physicians who have hit this stage themselves and are recognizing that they did a disservice unknowingly to their patients all of these years. And so, however we got here, thank you, women, for leading this charge, so we can all benefit from it. So thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Okay.